But right now, 4 points for Halliburton, hampered by calf tightness. His final averages now dropped to 15 points, 6 and 7. Nick, any second thoughts on his admission to Club Superstar?
No.
Really?
Unless Club Superstar is going to have the unprecedented change, and why would something that's only been around 4 years and been as wildly successful as it's been, of being under capacity, then how would we? So if the argument is, no, this guy who, a week and a half ago, the topic was, is this the most iconic playoff run ever?
Yeah.
That guy is not going to be kicked out because, A, I don't know if we have the graphic. I should have told him to have it ready where we can show the people waiting in line.
Yeah, let's see.
But the folks at Wemby we know is going to be in, but he has not earned his way in.
Wemby's in next year, guaranteed.
Assuming he plays the full schedule and they make the playoffs.
Anthony Davis is out, right?
Anthony Davis got kicked out.
Okay.
Embiid might be in next year.
There's a lot of guys that could be in next year. But I can't certainly look at the guys in line, and maybe Jalen Williams should have been in line, but Cade was out in round 1, and Şengün was out in round 1. Booker missed the playoffs. Anthony Davis missed the playoffs and was injured. And so he is a different type of superstar, there is no doubt. But I also feel very strongly that if Club Superstar existed in the early aughts, Jason Kidd and Steve Nash would have been in there.
Oh, yeah.
And those guys were also guys who might throw up a single-digit playoff game. Now, again, last night's game I said was one of the worst finals games by a star ever. But one horrendous game I do not believe makes you lose your spot.
I'm not going to rip you because when you made Club Superstar, I was pleasantly surprised Halliburton was in there. And I was like, okay. But you do remember I was like, I do feel like it might be a little premature, kind of like I felt about Brunson a year ago. And Brunson obviously earned it.
One of the finals.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I got to be honest, I don't think he's a superstar. He's a star. And I think he will become a superstar. But even if and I've defended him more than anybody on this show, even if I get it, your game is not scoring. I can't count on you for 27 points.
Yeah.
But can I get 15?
Usually, yes.
Can I get 18?
Usually, yes. But
exactly.
If I get 15, I need at least 9 assists and you're controlling it. Because that's the one thing Kidd would do is kind of control the tempo. I get it. He is a different type of star. I do think he will become a superstar. He is a star, legitimate star, who is, to this point, and I know it's early in his career, he could fall flat on his face down the line. But to this point, is one of the most clutch players we've ever seen.
Yes.
So he's a star who is incredibly clutch.
But can I?
You hit it on the head, though. Are there 12 superstars?
Right. And so,
I would say AD, even though he was hurt. We all know when Anthony Davis plays, it's like.
Except for the fact that Anthony Davis, I do give credit, even though he does it differently and oddly, that Tyrese Halliburton led this team to the NBA Finals. And that is something we've never seen Anthony Davis come close to that.
That's right.
And so, when he's been the best player on a team, granted, it was the very beginning of his career. Not the very beginning, but, the beginning of his career. They were a first-round exit. They won one playoff series, right? Yeah, they beat Portland. They won one playoff series.
Several years.
Ever.
Yeah.
And so the other piece for Halliburton that I think we can't in one breath be like, man, is this the best defense we've seen in 20 years? And then in the same breath be like, Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Halliburton, the hell happened to you? When the answer might be Lou Dort and Alex Caruso happened to him. You know what I mean? And I get it.
And look, maybe the injury that's the thing too. That maybe we're not factoring that in enough. But he's just been incredibly passive. And,
listen, he's not Nikola Jokic, but every other superstar or superstar adjacent guy that's run into this defense in these playoffs has come out with their stock hit. You know what I mean? The Grizzlies ran into them. They're blowing the team up. Jokic took him 7, but even his numbers, turnovers. Anthony Edwards, we were like, man, you're being awful passive, aren't you, Anthony? And now Halliburton,
that's fair.
Club superstar remains undefeated.
Okay. Huge night for Jalen Williams. He and SGA scored or assisted on 103 of the Thunder's 120 points. It's the most for a duo in the last 50 years. Here's SGA on Jalen postgame.
He was really gutsy tonight. He stepped into big plays. I feel like every time he needed a shot, he made it. He wasn't afraid. He was fearless tonight. Whether they went in or didn't, and obviously tonight they went in, whether they didn't. But he stepped into the plays with confidence for sure.
40-point finals games while your teammate had 30 points and 10 assists. It's only happened 3 times. Jalen and SGA last night, Kyrie and LeBron. Kyrie had 40. And then Wilt and Jerry West, which is pretty good in 1970. Is it on the board that Jalen steals the finals MVP away from SGA?
It's on the board.
On the board.
It is on the board.
Lay it out for me.
Now, right now, SGA is clearly the favorite. But look at the last 3 games. This is a graphic we have. Last 3 games. Jalen, J-Dub has been the leading scorer. Obviously more rebounds, 1 fewer assist, field goal percentage in both counts, 3 points and overall, better. And he's taken over the offense so SGA could kind of relax, not be as worn out at the end of games. So J-Dub is running the offense. I would go with SGA right now. If they close it out in 6, and let's say both of them are pretty good, solid. Nobody has this spectacular high-scoring game. I would give it to SGA. The way that J-Dub can win it, though, is if in Game 6 they close it out, and he's basically kind of, which is, I don't want to say unrealistic, but highly unlikely that he has another game similar to this, and SGA is worse than he was.
SGA would have to
wasn't
be
bad. Right.
Right.
But if they go 7 and Jalen continues to lead them in scoring, I know it's only 1 point, but if he's the driving force in the next 2 games, more so than SGA, then I think it's there for him. And the one thing the voters have shown, I actually thought, you guys know, Steph should have won it in 2015. But the voters have shown they're not beholden to storylines or the big name. You could have given it to Jason Tatum last year. It was close. They gave it to Jaylen Brown. Steph and Iguodala, you could have given it to Steph. Iguodala got it. So, I think it's on the board. Right now, SGA is ahead, but I think it's on the board.
I think of all the awards in sports, this one has the biggest miss rate because a lot of them you can't miss. You know what I mean? A lot of them, it's like, okay, this was, Shaq's 3 with the Lakers. Like, he averaged 35 and 16. Right. You know what I mean? It's his. But on the ones where it's a debate, I think the voters overthink it. And it might just be because it's 7 or 9 guys. Or 7 or 9 people, I should say. It's small. And it's like, hey, you're a voter, and I need you to write it down now. You know what I mean? So that's that's really how it is. So I'm not attacking the voters for it. But first of all, those stats Bruce showed are obviously accurate. What's also true is the first 2 games count as well. And over the course of the series, SGA is averaging, I think, 7 more points. You know what I mean? They're
32 to
2, exactly. And on better efficiency and more assists. And by the way, he's averaging over 2 steals and nearly 2 blocks. Jalen is averaging less than 1 steal and has 0 blocks.
That's why I do agree SGA has it right now.
SGA has it now. But
you don't think it's on the board, though?
I think it would take another near 40 piece and SGA having a bad game. You know what I mean? Like SGA having 13 and Jalen carries them, and that's how they win. But the reason I said I think the voters, I do think Finals MVP, because it is held in such esteem as it should be, if it's close, it should go to the team's best player. Like when
So what'd you think about Tatum and Brown? Because I thought it was close.
So
wasn't it 5-4?
No. Right. Where we disagreed was I didn't think that should have been close. So but if I had thought of the series the way you did, which was, hey, Tatum's better than people thought, but like when Tony Parker won it in 2007 over Tim Duncan, because he averaged 2 more points per game or whatever in that series, it's like that's ridiculous.
I actually thought Parker should have won that. I think I voted that year.
So I just think that the Iguodala-Steph one, again, if the most valuable player in that series isn't eligible because his team lost and LeBron James, then obviously Steph should have won that. And so I think if Shai's the league MVP for averaging 32, 5, and 5, and then in the finals averages 32, 5, and 5, I don't know. He's probably the finals MVP.
Game 6, Thursday, back in
Indiana?
Sorry. Thunder's still favored, however. Here's how the numbers shake out, bro. Down 3-2. You lose about 60% of the time. You lose the next game. You lose game 7 20% of the time. You win 18.4% of the time. So those are the actual chances. What chances are you giving that Indy can win the title?
Look, obviously their backs are against the wall. I'm giving them a chance, though. I feel about them like I felt about the Knicks. I respect their heart, their grit, their toughness, their never say die attitude so much that I'm not going to write them up. Like last night, I feel you. I felt like OKC was going to win that game for the most part, but when they cut it to 2, it was just like, these dudes just don't quit. It was like fighting Rocky Balboa. Like they just will not, and I felt like OKC must have been like, man, what do we have to do?